You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Welcome to Business Access Television's highlights package of the symbolic signing of Jamaica's Foreign Exchange Code of Conduct.
Governor Brian Winter, Senior Deputy Governor John Robinson, Deputy Governors Wayne Robinson, newly elected JBA President Mr. Jerome Smalling, President of the Cambia Association of Jamaica Heather Ferguson, Executive Director of the Jamaica Institute of Financial Services Darlene Jones, other distinguished guests, members of the press. Good morning and welcome to Bank of Jamaica for the symbolic signing of the BIS FX Global Code by the respective presidents of the JBA and CAJ. The adoption of this code by the authorized dealers and large cambios is another significant step in the FX market reform process, which began back in July 2017. Since then, BOJ has implemented a series of reforms aimed at improving efficiency and transparency, to include the implementation of BFIXIT, that's the Bank of Jamaica Foreign Exchange Intervention Trading Tool, whereby the bank intervenes through select participants in the foreign exchange market via an auction process. Secondly, the implementation of FX net open position limits for authorized dealers and FX position limits for cambios to ensure soundness and efficiency in the foreign exchange markets and mitigate risk-taking by the players. Improving market intelligence through daily market chats and enhanced reporting requirements to include counterparty name and TRN for large value transactions. The establishment of a foreign exchange market development committee chaired by the governor, and this enables cross-fertilization of ideas of all players in the industry. And of course, getting the conversation started on FX hedging products, such as forwards. At this time, on behalf of the governor, I'd like to extend appreciation to the authorized dealers and cambios for your tremendous support in making the reforms thus far a success. Colleagues, there's more to come as we eagerly await the implementation of the foreign exchange trading platform in early 2020. So without further ado, I now turn over to our esteemed governor, Mr. Brian Winter, for his remarks.
Thank you, Natalie, and I would like to say a special welcome to everybody this morning. It's very good to see you all here for this extremely, I think, a long-awaited, a timely, and a very important step forward for Jamaica in its economic development. I'm especially pleased to be here today as we recognize the adoption of the BIS Foreign Exchange Global Code by the foreign exchange market intermediaries in Jamaica. The Global Code provides a common set of guidelines to promote the integrity, the transparency, and the effective functioning of the foreign exchange market, which is a vital part of the global financial system and has a turnover of more than $5 trillion every single day. The adoption of the Global Code is one of the reforms to the foreign exchange market that we began in mid-2017, and it was aimed at enhancing the efficiency of the financial markets in Jamaica. That is how financial markets best serve the markets in goods and services, which is where Jamaicans will be employed and be able to grow their wealth, will be able to develop themselves, will be able to contribute to the building of Jamaica. The code the symbolic signing today by the representatives by the respective presidents, I should say, of the Bankers Association and of the Cambio Association of Jamaica confirms that their members have signed the Global Code, indicating their commitment to its 6 leading areas of principle, namely ethics, governance, execution, information sharing, risk management and compliance, and the confirmation and settlement processes. This historic signing reflects our aims for Jamaica to have a robust, fair, liquid, open, and transparent market for foreign exchange. As governor of the Bank of Jamaica, I am very happy for what we have been able to accomplish in reaching this stage. We are confident that this move will support an improvement in the public's faith in the foreign exchange market. And now that we are a part of the Global Code, this is a signal that Jamaica is open and ready for business. It's now incumbent on each foreign exchange dealer or Cambio to follow through on their commitment to adopt the principles that Jamaica's foreign exchange market has signed up to. My expectation is that those who wish to compete in the foreign exchange market will be able to enjoy success once they follow the principles that we are here establishing today. I'd like to now welcome Ms. Darlene Jones, Executive Director of GIFS, who will speak to us on the importance of that institution in building capacity for intermediaries in implementing the code. Before I end my remarks, I just want to thank you all for coming, as we remain committed to Jamaica becoming the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. Thank you, everyone.
GIFS is extremely proud to be a part of today's momentous occasion, signifying the commitment to integrity and professional standards at the highest level. We feel that this is part of the evolution that the Minister of Finance spoke of at the recent symposium, when he said that since we're operating in a market-driven FX market, it requires businesses and the financial institutions to evolve in order to exist. This is indeed a significant advancement in this process. As provider of internationally rated cutting-edge development opportunities for the financial services industry, our mandate is to ensure that the industry is supplied with highly trained and agile cadre of talent to support industry growth. GIFS is therefore pleased to be a support of this milestone with the offering of the FX Global Code Certification Program, which is being offered in collaboration with the Global Association, ACI Financial Markets. This program will enhance our buoyant FX industry with a cadre of certified financial markets professionals qualified to execute at the highest level of efficacy. The program has been designed to ensure practical working knowledge, and I am emphasizing practical working knowledge, advocated by the principles of the code, with emphasis on the application of high standards of integrity, conduct, and professionalism, with the understanding of why adherence to the market participants to the code is important. We had a first sitting of certification exams in June, and we're now recruiting for the second cohort, which commences in September. We expect to have annual certifications. Persons would need to certify annually, and thereafter with the expectation that this program will become mandatory for the financial markets professionals. Of course, we intend to continue the path by offering supportive programs. We are also in discussions with ACI to offer a dealing certificate. So we commend the FX Working Committee on the direction of the Central Bank on this milestone on agreeing to the principles of the code. This signing by the relevant stakeholders is indicative of Jamaica's commitment to a successful FX industry, one that is comparable to international standards. And JIFS is truly committed to our mission to ensure the continuous building of human and organizational capabilities through research and professional development of knowledgeable, ethical, proactive, customer-driven financial services sector. And we look forward to our continued collaboration in this regard. Thank you so much.
It's now time for what we came here to see, the symbolic signing of the code by the respective presidents.
Thanks for watching Business Access Television's highlights package of the symbolic signing of Jamaica's Foreign Exchange Code of Conduct. Pleasant viewing.
Bullseye for Eyes Summer Sale. Try your luck at the Bullseye and get up to 40% off your frames. Land on the Bullseye and your eyeglasses are completely free. This summer, July 15th to August 31st, everyone is a winner at Island Eyewear. Conditions apply. Call 630-1180 or visit islandeyewear.com. Island Eyewear. Your price, your style.
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
TV welcomes you to the grand opening of Maison Chic's second location here at the Arden Emirates Plaza on Arden Road. I'm your host, Amita Prasadwe. Please stay tuned for highlights. So it's Maison Chic's second store launch tonight. What are your thoughts?
It's good because a lot of time I'm up this side and it's difficult for me to go all the way down that side to get something, so I can just come right here and run over to 212. That's my favorite.
That's your favorite?
That's my favorite, all the time.
So you're a past customer. Talk to me about your experience shopping at Maison Chic.
Oh, it's very easy because I'm not so big on fragrance. So when I enter the store, I'm like, what is it that I want? And somebody just comes over and like, okay, may I help you? What is it that you're looking for? Is it for an event? Or you just want something for like when you're going on the road? And they just help me from there and I'm good.
But wouldn't you want to smell the same for an event or if you're going on the road?
No, that's why I always choose two. One for the regular outing and one for an event. Yeah, because you know when you go to an event, your cologne have your kick like Jackie Chan.
Oh, it's have a kick.
It have a kick.
So welcome one and all. This is the official launch of Maison Chic 2. Did you hear what I said? This is the official launch of Maison Chic 2. Maison Chic first opened its doors at the mini mall of Tropical Plaza, and now we're here at Arden Emirates, and this is our second location. We are a fragrance store that takes pride in providing our guests with the utmost respect, the utmost customer service that you can find anywhere. And don't forget that we are also licensed to bring all the brands that we carry. So we have brands like Carolina Herrera, Paco Rabanne, which like these are like top brands from right around the world, right? And our tagline is explore your outer senses and unleash yourself. This explains perfectly what we do and the experience that we bring to all our guests. every single one is important. So whether it be that you purchase a fragrance that costs $2,000 or you purchase a fragrance that costs $80,000, it doesn't really matter to us. Just as long as you're supporting us, you deserve the best and the best customer service from right around the world, right across the board. For us, we always say in the fragrance world that fragrance is the ultimate accessory. So when you're smelling good, people tend to sometimes forget what you look like, right? Am I right? Yeah, everybody can testify to this. And in our culture now, as Jamaicans, we have realized that even our entertainers are bringing this to light. So everybody is singing about what they're wearing, and everybody wants to smell hot, and everybody wants to smell sexy. So, you know, it's a very important thing. It's very important to what we do every day, like to keep yourself clean and to smell nice and to smell sexy is everybody's wish. And right now, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has come out tonight, because this is a very important venture. We have struggled to help persons to understand that, hey, this is where we need to be. Like, you need to walk into a store, and before you can even say hello, like customers are, or attendants are greeting you. We have the best trained attendants right across the board. Like, when I say best trained, like, can I hear some hello? All right, so right now I'm gonna introduce all our fragrance consultants. Come on, guys, come on, don't be shy. This is our team, and I'm proud to say that all of us here, we take pride in doing what we do. And it's all for you. And I want you to know my staff, like, by name. So from the end here, we have this is a very important night for Samantha, because she actually manages this branch. So right here you have Samantha. And you have Celine. And from the staff of Maison Chic One, that's in Tropical Plaza, we have Cindy. And everybody know me, Pat Marie. And we have the ever so lovely, the girls, them sugar digging. And we also have our newest edition, Ches. Give it up for Ches, everybody. So, with all that being said, I'm looking forward for everyone to continue supporting us. And this is a very important part of our program this evening. Now, everybody owns a smartphone. Now, I need y'all to take out your smartphones, please, right this moment. Yeah, it's already out. Now, y'all gonna go to Instagram, and it's at MAISONCHIC_JA. Right? Everybody has done that? Yeah, I see some people doing it. Thank you very much. Now follow us. Come to the store. Take pictures. Come and test. Because, guys, we provide testers for all our fragrances. So come and test. Don't be shy. It's a new age, people. And Maison Chic is bringing Jamaica to life with fragrances. Can I get an amen? Yeah. And, you know, we couldn't have such a great store without having great distributors, right? Yeah, so the people that take care of us, make sure we have the samples, make sure we have the gifts. And right now, I'm gonna call to she's so smiling, I love her. We're gonna call to speak to us now, Marie, and she's our representative from Eurobrands.
Thank you, darling. Hi, good evening, everyone. Hola. Very special welcome to the Panamanian Ambassador, the Panamanian Chief of Mission, and Mrs. Barrow. I am extremely pleased to have you guys here. Of course, you might, and all of you special guests invited. Guys, you know, it is very important for us to highlight how significant it is in Jamaica to have a second branch for one of our clients. Maison Chic came to us maybe 2 years ago But we have been in business for the past 6 years. You might be wondering what Eurobrands does. We have the license for brands such as Carolina Herrera, Paco Rabanne, Valentino, Nina Ricci, Antonio Banderas, Shakira, United Dreams, Jean Paul, Versace, and many, 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 many. Trust me, our inventory is crazy. So you don't want to go in there. But what is important is I want you to realize that I did say license. What that means, you're probably wondering, do you need licenses to sell perfumes in Jamaica? You need license to sell perfumes, and I'm gonna tell you why. You wouldn't be able to enjoy that wonderful after work kind of, we give you that value added that other companies, of course, cannot do. We not only give you the testers, but we are also empowering our staff. We give value-added products, such as training for all the staff. And the reason why Maison Chic has the best training in the world is because we offer. We do that through our suppliers. Ana Maria Libertini is here from one of our suppliers, which is our main supplier. And we are very proud to have her here all the way. One of the things that I want you guys to realize is that all these efforts cannot be done without the team. Of course, my team is really, really busy tonight, and they're selling fragrances to all our clients, but I have Samantha here that is in charge of our marketing department. Anna is also here, that is our newest member of staff, and is in the administration department. One of the things that I want you guys to realize is that without the importance of the Jamaican market, we wouldn't be here. It is amazing for us to be able to see our clients prosper. So if any of you want to sell fragrances, so you know where to go. If you want to have it done well done. One of the things that I always say to my clients is, if it looks good, if it smells good, if it's good, we have it. If we don't have it, we are working on the license. And if we are not working on the license, it's because we don't think it will make sense in Jamaica. We are the best in the system right here. We are the best in the market.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to have you here. Working at Maison Chic, it has been really great. The family base, they have been really welcoming, not to mention the clients that we have catered to and the friends that we have made. So some of our, clients, they have become our friends. So with that said, I would like you to celebrate with me new beginnings.
Maison Chic 2!
So guys, now for the important aspect of it. Now for the first part, you can go.
Don't pull another one, another one. Know your eyes, they all over me. Don't be shy, take a stroke of me. Get the vibe, it's gonna be lit tonight. No lie, not twice, pull another one. It's alright, I know what you want. The vibe is gonna be lit tonight. No lie,
So you're the new manager for the second location here. Talk to me about that.
All right, well, it has been really, really great working here. I'm kind of the quiet person, shy, and working here, it has forced me to come out of my shell to interact. And trust me, we have some lovely clients that we work with. The customer base here, well, not the customer base, but the staff here at Maison Chic, both at Maison Chic Emirates and at the other location, the first location, we have quite a different variety of characteristics. We have Patrice, who is very animatic. So, she's fun, she's courageous. We have Hubert, we have Celine, we have myself, we have Cindy, and newly we have Ches. So, it has been a great family base.
Talk to me about the fragrances you have available here tonight and what's so special about this fragrance store compared to another one.
Well, all right. So we have fragrances that are top of the line. So we have Carolina Herrera, we have Valentino, we have Jimmy Choo. And not just that, but what separates us from a lot of different stores is that we do it by law, we do it officially. So we obtain license. So when persons come to purchase and we tell them, we have to have the license to carry a specific fragrance. So if you don't see it, it's because we don't have that license. They're like, oh really, you have to have a license? So that's what separates us, not to mention the customer service. Like persons commend us on our customer service, so that sets us apart. Customer service, it's everything, and it's not everyone that can, put on a good show, who can stand, and if someone is being mean or if someone's just having a bad day, you don't, just take their energy and just give it back to them, but really take their energy and, give them a positive vibes. So that's what differentiates us.
You're a customer here at Maison Chic. Talk to me about your favorite fragrance.
Well, there are two of them here. First one for the designer would be Paco Rabanne Invictus, and that would be the Intense. And the second one would be from Bond Number 9. It would be Scent of Peace.
It's their second store. How does that make it easier for you to shop?
Well, I work right here on the road, so I can just simply come by during my lunchtime if I feel the need to. However, I normally feel welcome in the Tropical Mall itself.
What's so special about their service here?
Customer service, you have to be big on customer service for you to attract certain customers, and that is one thing that they have captured. They have managed to capture customer service because it's very warm, very friendly, and believe you me, they are very experienced. They are knowledgeable about the fragrances as well.
Talk to me about your experience so far.
So far, it's been a wonderful experience. I've been enjoying every moment of this because it's something new, but I've been selling fragrance since I've arrived here. But it's easy because we actually study the fragrances that we sell, so we know what we are giving to the customers. So at the end of the day, we always please their wants and needs that they come to us about. So basically, I've been here for 2.5 to 3 weeks right now, and I've been savoring every moment.
How was the training?
Well, the training has been very educational. Yes, so they have been training us in ways that I didn't know that my nose could have reached those levels. I didn't know my nose had those skills because we have been learning new things.
Why should people come out to the shop location here on Arden Road or the one in Tropical Plaza?
Tropical is kind of a more established branch, but Arden has a lot of fragrances that maybe you will not find at Tropical right now, but it's a nice branch to come because they have varieties. And it's a new place, so they want it to be as much as Tropical itself because people actually know Tropical already. So basically it's a new experience, but it's similar to Tropical because the customer service is still warm and inviting as in Tropical. So it's a great place to come.
Thanks for joining us here at Maison Chic's second store opening right here in Arden Emirates Plaza. I've been your host, Amita Pasadweb, and you're watching Business Access TV, serious about business.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bills? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Did you know that the Tourism Workers Pension Fund will cover all workers from 18 to 65 years in the sector, whether permanent, contract or self-employed? That's right. And the benefits will be payable at age 65.
What we want to make sure is that everybody is covered, that everybody is on some social security arrangement to protect them when they retire or when they can't work anymore.
The Tourism Minister gives more details on the fund later in the show. Hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Welcome to Jamaica Magazine. We have a lot more in store for you, so stay with us.
How we are going with all of that? You're moving?
No. I'm a passport, I come for renewing, you know. But you want me to show me no in that place full of crowd and the long line I take you all day. Make sure you walk with some food. And...
No, man, things improve, man. Them have a lot of drop box where you can use inside. They finish in no time.
Yeah,
man, them are done.
Yeah. And some food, man. Try this. A drop box.
Transformation is happening across the public sector. Many services are now available online. We are building a better public service for all. Brought to you by the Transformation Implementation Unit.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, August 22. The government has entered into an agreement to extend domestic monitoring of Jamaica's economic reform program beyond the country's precautionary standby arrangement with the IMF, which ends this November. The move was formalized through the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding MOU this morning between the Ministry of Finance and the Economic Program Oversight Committee, EPOC. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark says the MOU empowers EPOC to continue in its monitoring role until government operationalizes policy commitments for the established inclusion of independent fiscal oversight.
The government is far advanced in enacting legislation that will modernize the central bank, inclusive of institutionalizing independence in the implementation of monetary policy. We are also working towards legislation that will give rise to a fiscal council that will strengthen Jamaica's fiscal responsibility framework and be an independent arbiter of Jamaica's fiscal rules.
Minister Clark says with the Joint Select Committee of Parliament's review of the central bank legislation far advanced, he expects the amended bill to be tabled in this quarter and passed before the next financial year, which begins in April 2020. Dr. Clark says he also expects to table legislation in Parliament for the Fiscal Council by April of next year. In the meantime, EPOC's chairman, Keith Duncan, says his committee's work and the eventual fiscal legislation will serve to improve economic benefits for Jamaicans.
We are already seeing the fruits of, fiscal responsibility in relationship to our ability to invest in capital expenditure, in infrastructure, in even this year in the national security apparatus. And we are confident that if we continue along this path, we will be able to increasingly invest in the capacity of our Jamaican people and our Jamaican organizations.
Residents of Mavis Bank and adjoining areas of East Rural St. Andrew now have easier access to their communities following the rehabilitation of the Georges River Bridge. The bridge, which is located in Violet Bank, was renovated at a cost of $21 million by the National Works Agency. Previously 15 feet wide, it has been expanded to 36 feet and can now accommodate 2 large vehicles simultaneously. During the official opening on Wednesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said the bridge was now high enough to allow for unimpeded flow of the stream that runs below and also sturdy enough to withstand the peculiarities of climate change.
Widening this bridge is important for the access of the people who live in the community, for the agricultural access, which is necessary to move coffee speedily to market, access for construction work that is going, for large trucks to move materials, and for the safety of the community, because this area, during times of drought and in the summer in particular, is susceptible to bushfires. And to have the fire engines being able to move without impediment is also very important.
Mr. Holness is urging motorists to refrain from speeding and to maneuver with care when using the bridge. Over 700 traffic cameras have been installed in specific parishes so far under the Ministry of Transport and Mining's electronic surveillance system. The cameras are equipped with license plate reading technology to record vehicles involved in traffic offenses. Approximately 490 traffic cameras have been installed across Kingston, 120 in Montego Bay, 80 in Ocho Rios, 38 in May Pen, and 30 in Mandeville. The Consumer Affairs Commission, CAC, is urging parents to be wary of counterfeit products during their back-to-school shopping. CAC's Director of Communications, Latoya Halstead, says parents should be especially careful when purchasing severely marked down items.
What you might be thinking that you're getting as a deal could in fact be a knockoff. So you're paying money out of pocket for something that you think is going to last when in 2-3 months it goes.
Ms. Halstead is recommending that parents conduct research before purchasing items such as shoes and bags and to physically check these items in store.
Go online and look to see exactly what the tags should be like, the branding of the item, to see exactly how it ought to be. So when you go into the store or from whomever you're purchasing it from, you already have an idea as to what it should look like, to see if there is any inferior stitching, if the label somehow just doesn't look right, if you see spelling errors, if you don't even see the tag that should be there.
Parents are also advised to explore buying used books and to walk with the book list when purchasing textbooks to check the edition, author, and publisher. Persons are further cautioned to keep receipts and not wrap or write in the text until it is verified by the teacher that those books will be used. And finally, parents and guardians of children who are deaf or hard of hearing are being encouraged to enroll them into one of the Jamaica Association for the Deaf, JAD's, schools. The association operates 7 schools across 4 parishes. Executive Director Kimberly Sherlock Marriott Blake says currently there are approximately 400 students enrolled, which is a 50% capacity across the system. She says it is estimated that JAD should have at least 1,000 students enrolled in its schools.
Because education is our core focus, one of the things that's very critical for us is ensuring that we not only have children in school, but that we're adequately supporting them once we get them into school.
Mrs. Sherlock Marriott Blake was speaking at a recent JIS think tank. She says students who have hearing loss and use hearing aids usually have a hard time keeping up with the pace of a large class in regular schools and eventually perform at or below bare minimum standard. For this reason, she says the JAD is working on sensitizing persons at the community level about the importance of having these children learn in an environment which is tailored to their specific needs.
But our goal is ensuring that whatever the hearing loss, the child can be supported. The child can be given the education that they deserve, because we are firm believers that every child can learn and every child must learn.
And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Are you a small to medium-sized tourism enterprise? Borrow up to $25 million at an interest rate of 5%. You can use the funding to develop and maintain your infrastructure, upgrade or increase your capacity, enhance and expand your attraction, tour or event, and purchase raw material. Call the Exim Bank and ask about the Tourism SMTE loan. Their numbers are 876-630-1400 or 876-618-5889. Tap into the over $3 billion earned yearly through tourism with a SMTE loan.
By early 2020, the Tourism Workers' Pension Fund will come into effect. This will provide a social security net for those who make a living from the sector.
We see too many workers who have toiled for years, some 40, some 50 years, and after they have left the industry, they are in penury situations. And we're saying that that is not right. That image is wrong. That optic is unsatisfactory. And therefore, the move to ensure that we create that social security arrangement so that on retirement, the tourism worker from whatever category can be assured of a minimum pension. And we wanted to emphasize the minimum. So we went about, over the last 8 years or so, working assiduously at getting the structures and systems and legislative and regulatory arrangements in place so as to allow for a pension plan that is going to be very embracing, that is perhaps all-inclusive. By that we mean it covers all elements of the working force within the industry. That is to say, those who are working in the hotels, whatever category in the hotels, those who are working at attractions, whichever attractions, those who are self-employed, like the owners of taxis and transportation arrangements that we have to utilize on a regular and almost total basis to transit visitors from one point to the other. The red caps, those who work for themselves at the airport, to remove and carry and to convey the luggage and much of the burden and help that the visitor requires. Then we look at those who are involved in street food arrangements and are providing that kind of a basic gastronomy service to the people of the industry, the guests, the visitors, and locals alike. And then you have to look at those who are involved in spas and in areas of farming that are dedicated to tourism. For example, agrotourism projects and entities, people who work for those. And then security, those who work with the security corps in the industry. And we could go on then the vendors, the craft vendors, the ordinary Jamaican who provides a lot of the basic social services and needs that the visitor has. Because all of those social needs that are provided by the ordinary Jamaican on the street are part of what we call the destination assurance. It's part of what the integrity of the destination is composed of. It's part of what defines us. It's part of what makes us a place where people feel comfortable, people feel safe, people feel secure, and we ought to provide them with a seamlessness in terms of their ability to move and to access our assets. So the purpose, therefore, of this pension plan is to enable that level of social protection at the end of the working experiences of visitors. So there had to be an age limit, as there had to be a commencement age. And so the scheme will cover all workers of tourism enterprises who are 18 years and over up to 65. At 65, it's the formal pensionable age. Now, you can be part of the scheme beyond age 65, but the pensionable age is 65. That is to say, you wouldn't be able to get a pension except for certain circumstances, which I will indicate, until you are age 65. And those circumstances has to do with incapacitation as a result of illnesses, right? Or any acts of God or the Queen's enemy that creates that level of incapacity on your side. You can also, and this is a very important feature that we have introduced, which perhaps is not present in any other pension scheme anywhere, in that you can become a member at age 59, 5 years before you get to age 65. So you would only pay for 5 years, but you would be entitled to a pension similar to the persons who would have been there from the start. And how did that happen? That came about because the government of Jamaica, the government, decided that we would put $1 billion from the Tourism Enhancement Fund into the scheme fund so as to seed it, so to speak, and to create the base so that those who have been contributors for only 5 years can still get a pension that is equal to a minimum of $200,000 a year.
Minister Bartlett continues the conversation after this break, telling us more about the contribution process for workers and employers as well as its benefits.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Before the break, we look at the categories and the age group of persons who are eligible to join the Tourism Workers Pension Fund. Let's pick up the conversation on the contribution process and benefits. Here's Minister Bartlett with the details.
What is the level of involvement that each worker is required? How do you, first of all, start the contribution? You start the contribution the first day that you are appointed to the company. And we understand that some companies will have a little 3-month or 2-month probation period. So we understand that. But the minute you are employed full-time, then it kicks in. And do I have an option to join or not to join? No. The law is making this a compulsory pension act, which enables everybody and requires everybody. That's the word. Requires everybody to join. But it also does something else. It requires every employer to participate with the employee. And so initially, it will be a 3% deduction from your weekly or monthly salary, as the case might be. And the employer will contribute an equal 3%. And that will go on for the first 3 years. After that is 5% and 5%. So, what then happens to this money? This money goes into an account bearing the name of every contributor. So, I have my own account. Just as I had a savings account in the bank, it's the same way that it will obtain. And what will be in the account will be my contribution of 3% and the employer's contribution of 3%. And then when that money is invested and it grows interest, what we call accrete, nice word, then that my account accretes. Right? The other thing is that I must have a beneficiary that is put on the account so that if anything happens while I am going on in life, like, I should die, the beneficiary would get the account. So it would not then go to the Administrator General and end up in the government coffers in the long run. But your beneficiary, and your designated beneficiary, whoever you want, could be mother, sister, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever, right? Your beneficiary. The other thing is that you can join and move from one company to the other without breaking your membership. It's very important because we know how it goes in the tourism industry. You move from hotel to hotel, and sometimes you move from being a hotel worker to being an entrepreneur on your own because you decide that you're going to be a transportation operator, or you decide that you're going to supply the hotel with certain goods and services and so on and so forth. But you can remain there. Something else then that you asked, all right, since I can move from one hotel to the other and so on, can I be in more than one scheme? No. You can only be in one scheme. and you pick which one you want to be in. So if you don't want to be in the Tourism Workers Pension Act, and there's another pension scheme somewhere that you feel you can do better with, then fine, not a problem. But what we want to make sure is that everybody is covered, that everybody is on some social security arrangement to protect them when they retire or when they can't work anymore. And so here is another big pool of funds. We're expecting perhaps 350 and more thousand people to participate in it in the long run. In the long run, in fact, the growth of the industry will dictate how many hundred thousands or indeed millions of people will be involved in it down the road. But the actuarial people have done some little work and indicate to us that in the first 5 years, at the end of the first 5 years, we will have something like about $7 billion Jamaican in the fund. So that will make it possible for the minimum of 200,000. But they also tell us that if, on a presumption that 200,000 people join, and a rate of, say, 4% growth over the year, right? By 2030, we would have $7 billion in the fund. Now, if that 200,000 became the 300,000 we talk about, and the 300,000 became 5, as is likely to be at the rate of growth of the tourism industry at the moment, you can then see that this fund is going to have trillions of dollars later on. And this is going to be hugely beneficial to the whole investment arrangement in Jamaica and the access to affordable capital for investment in infrastructure and in commerce and in other areas of economic life. So we have created then not just a social safety net, not just a social piece of legislation that is going to protect the vulnerable, but we have also created an economic fund that is going to be available for investment and for capital formation.
Up next, the Administrator General's Department helps us to understand who is a spouse.
Anna, why you knocking down my door? What is it?
Jackie, I don't know what to do. From Jason dead, I have nothing to give to the children, and I don't know where to turn.
So why you didn't go down to the Administrator General's department, the place I told you about the other day?
Lord Jackie, me know you try to help me, you know, but remember say me and Jason never did marry, you know.
What do you mean by that, Anna? The law say if a single man and a single woman live together as husband and wife for 5 years and more immediately before death, then he or she is considered a spouse.
Really? That mean me can't get something then? Cause boy, it rough, you know.
Yes, man, just go down there, tell them about the case, that Jason died, leaving no will, house and children under 18 years. Go down there and see what them can do for you.
A true you're talking, Jackie. Where you say the place there again?
Down a waterfront, man. 12 Ocean Boulevard. Go down there, talk to them, and see if them can help you.
Okay, I'm going down there right now.
Good morning, madam. How are you?
Good morning, miss. I hear that the Administrator General's department can help me. You see, my children, them father died, leaving me with the 2 pitney them, and I'm me alone I care for them.
Did he leave a will?
Will, ma'am, after Jason never ready for dead, how come him a come from work and drop down dead? My friend tell me say under the law I'm considered a spouse. By the way, who is a spouse?
Under the Interstates, Estates and Property Charges Act, a spouse is a single man and woman living together as husband and wife for 5 years or more. By living together, the two persons should not have been separated at any time during the 5 years immediately before death. A surviving spouse includes a person who is legally married, that is, he or she went in front of a pastor and took the vow of marriage. If Anna meets the requirements, she can hire an attorney at law or go to the legal aid clinic to apply for an order from the court declaring that she's a spouse. Some of the questions the court will look at are: did Anna and Jason break up during the 5 years? Did Jason have any children born in the same year as Anna's children? The court will also want to know if Anna or Jason were married before and not divorced. Once the order has been granted, the spouse would be entitled to benefit from the estate of the deceased. For further information, you can visit the Administrator General's Department in Kingston, 3rd floor at the Office Center Building, 12 Ocean Boulevard, or call us at 922-183023. You can also visit our Western office at the 2nd floor of the National Housing Trust Building at 42B Union Street, Montego Bay, St. James. Telephone 630-4261. Our website is at www.agd.gov.jm. That's the Administrator General's Department, securing your legacy.
As we close today's show, we ask that you stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
Business current affairs you can relate to. Frank, credible discussion. On point, dissecting the issues. Offering solutions to Jamaica's challenges. On Point, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Every day you wake up, you have another opportunity to make this little island better, safer, a place where we all can be proud to call home. It's time we all recognize that every little thing we do has an impact on the Jamaica we live in now and the country we're leaving for our children. So promise me this, promise yourself this. No more will we tolerate criminals, even if it's our relatives. Tell them they're doing something wrong. Tell them to stop. Tell them no more robbing our children of the Jamaica they deserve. Tell them no more crime.
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
everyone, I'm Candy and we are here at Devon House J. Ray and Nephew to celebrate Jimmy and Joy. Jimmy is of course the chairman of J. Ray and Nephew. He is Mr. Clement Jimmy Lawrence, and Joy Spence is the only female master blender. They were both honored with orders of distinction at the National Heroes Ceremony, and tonight we celebrate them. Stay tuned. First of all, Jimmy, congratulations on your Order of Distinction earlier this week.
Thank you so much. You know, I'm elated and humbled because it's so wonderful to be recognized by the government and one's peers. And so it's a really wonderful thing to happen to me, and I feel particularly proud.
Talk to us about your journey with J. Ray and Nephew. What has that been like?
Well, I started with the group in 1995, and I've been through a number of areas. I think what the group had offered to me is something that anyone would die for in their career, quite frankly. So I've been with Federated Pharmaceuticals, Plastic Containers, Lascelles Laboratories, Lascelles Wines and Spirits, Lascelles Distribution, Ray and Nephew. And not only that, I've had stints in production, in sales and marketing, you know, the whole works, in warehousing, you know. So it's a really broad exposure that was was afforded me, and for that I'm really grateful.
So tonight they're also celebrating Joy. Talk to us about her and her journey and what that means.
You know, I was just saying earlier in a conversation, you know, to receive this accolade with Joy is a huge privilege for me, quite frankly. Joy is a phenomenal woman. She has accomplished so much, you know, the first female blender in the world, you know. That is awesome. And she's so intelligent and so engaging, you know, and caring. She's, you know, I remember, you know, having simple illnesses, and Joy would, you know, she had such a deep concern that the humanity in her is just amazing. A wonderful person. I'm particularly proud to have this moment with her, you know, us jointly receiving this honor.
I have the pleasure of talking to Joy Spence OD now. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
What has it been like to be recognized?
It is a humbling feeling to be recognized by the Jamaican government and by the people of Jamaica, and to receive the Order of Distinction Commander class is really, really an awesome feeling, and to be awarded it for actually promoting Jamaica rum and brand Jamaica, it's very special to me.
You're the first female master blender, not just in Jamaica, but in the world. Talk to us about your journey there.
Yes, in 1997, I became the first female master blender in the entire spirit industry in the world. It was really a humbling feeling to really realize that a Jamaican woman actually broke the glass ceiling and made way for other females to become master blenders.
Okay, now I asked Jimmy as well, and I'm gonna ask you your impression of him and his journey with you, because both of you are being celebrated tonight.
Well, Jimmy is well deserving of the award. He's a very humble, hardworking individual, very supportive, and he has been one of my mentors along the way, and it is so great that both of us have received the awards together. I don't think any other company has actually had two individuals receiving national honors at the same time. So it's very special for J. Ray and Nephew.
Since my arrival in Jamaica, Jimmy and I have worked very closely together. And during that time, we've developed a certain mode of communication, which I will describe as a mixture of banter, friendly jabs, and sometimes more sober moment. So in many ways, you know, over time, Jimmy has become kind of my Jamaican brother. So when we received the news that the National Award was being presented to Jimmy and Joy, my first reaction was one of joy, you know, of happiness for them, and also of pride. And my second reaction was, oh, so now I have to call Jimmy honorable each time I talk to him? You know, I talk to him a lot because we see each other every day. But thank goodness, he says, no, Jimmy, JP, you don't need to do that, you know, at least not yet. So Joy, what to say about Joy? Everything has been said about Joy. For me, Joy is a very, very impressive woman. Actually, I had a long career in this business, and she has been by far the most impressive woman I've been working with over all these years. So we all know that she's a creator of the finest rum in Jamaica. I would say even scrap that. I think she's even, you know, the finest creator of the best rum in the world at this point, you know. She is the ultimate glass ceiling breakers. She's a kind and strong force that improves everything and everyone that in her path. And there's something you may not know about Joy, is that in our business, in our industry, in the spirit industry, she is a true global superstar. She's known by everyone that counts, and there's an immense amount of respect for her and what she's accomplished. So this is why we're here this evening. You know, I couldn't miss this opportunity to throw a party to my two favorite people, and I hope that we can make tonight memorable, enjoyable, and of course, spirited.
I want to especially recognize our honorees here tonight, Joy Spence and Jimmy Lawrence. I would say the J squared is the evening, probably in keeping with J. Ray and Nephew. So we are celebrating the J's tonight. But I am pleased to be here. Despite having events elsewhere which would command my attention, I would not miss this occasion because I think we are properly honoring two of our modern day heroes in Jamaica. And they are important to us for two sets of reasons. First of all, I think both Jimmy and Joy have personally demonstrated in their own life the qualities of professionalism, diligence, commitment to excellence that is so needed, so much needed in Jamaica and so valued. Each of them, in their own way, have blazed a trail that so many could emulate, and I certainly want to congratulate them for those qualities which have enabled them to reach to the pinnacle of their respective professions and avocations.
Joy and Jimmy, I didn't want to include the J's in this, but it is appropriate because they do represent J, Ray, and Nephew. And I think that my friend, the leader of the opposition, was in fine fettle tonight. Very spirited indeed. And I'm sure that he spoke very eloquently and well about the power and value of that family combination of J. Ray and Nephew. But J. Ray and Nephew has been more than just a name and a family reference in Jamaica. It has become an icon and a statement of the value of Jamaica's output in rum and spirits. And I travel in various places, and one of the things that define Jamaica in many places, especially in Mexico and in parts of Brazil, is J. Ray and Nephew, or Appleton rum. And so it is always a wonderful feeling when you are cited for the work that you've done. And Joy and Jimmy this evening are brought before us as prime examples of that point of excellence that we reach, where a grateful nation can accord to them the 5th highest honor in the land, Commander of the Order of Distinction. And so I know that we can continue to enumerate the various points of excellence that they have attained on the journey over time. And I know, too, that we would be failing in terms of our own ability to enumerate the full extent of their contributions in their various areas. But I want to make the point that theirs have been a road well trodden, and theirs have been an experience worth emulating. And I want to establish and present them before you all and the nation tonight as true exemplars of a wonderful tradition, a great Jamaica that has produced outstanding and iconic people. Tonight, Joy and Jimmy, I say to you both, congratulations, God bless you both, and I know you have many, many more years, and you only got the 5th honor. There's more to come. Keep on doing well. God bless you both.
Stay tuned to Business Access TV. We'll have much more from the event celebrating Jimmy and Joy right after this.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Welcome back. We return to the highlights celebrating Jimmy and Joy.
Let me first say how proud our family is about Jimmy's accomplishments. I tell people my life is simple and happy. I've been married for 34 years to this gentleman, and I have no regrets. We have 2 beautiful and brilliant girls, Swad and Imani, and now we have the addition of a wonderful son, Sean. If life at home is simple beyond this, it appears to us that Jimmy unleashes complexity and adaptability in his career. In review, the multiple roles Jimmy has played in his career over the years makes him like a jack of all trades and bucking the expectation by mastering many. Let's briefly review his job experiences, starting from teacher of chemistry, as Faye said, for 3 months, to production planner, purchasing manager, production manager, manufacturing systems manager, warehouse manager, engineering manager, technical manager, plant manager, let me take a breath, general manager, chief operating officer, head of marketing and sales, managing director, and now chairman. I am sure he has spent no more than 3 years in any assignment. His notable involvement in increasing the label for Magnum and marketing the brand, among others, are highlights of how bold and adventurous he is in areas in which he ought not to be competent. And just when you think he would be in a plateau, he is awarded a national hero honor, as we celebrate tonight, the Order of Distinction, Commander Class, wow. And he is so modest about it. His idol in this is Dr. Joy Spence, his friend of whom he is so proud. A round of applause for Joy, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is really a pleasure for me to join with the distinguished persons represented here tonight in paying tribute to my wife and friend, Joy. A gifted woman with exceptional talents who has served Ray and Nephew with distinction. And the national recognition that she has received on Monday is a result of her hard work. Joy, your exploits as an accomplished chemist, blending various potions to make various exotic and award-winning spirits, especially Appleton rums, and the promotion of brand Jamaica around the globe are well known and documented. However, If it wasn't for your mother, we may not have experienced her magic with the spirits, as she would have been helping other needy souls to take on the Holy Spirit. You see, ladies and gentlemen, Joy first wanted to be a nun. However, her mom told her, as well as the teacher at Holy Child, that she'd have none of it because she wanted grandchildren. And I have personally thanked my mother-in-law for that, because Joy is the mother of two beautiful children. Tracy Ann, who is here tonight, and Sean, who due to work commitments overseas could not make the trip home. To your children, you have been a mother, a mentor, a role model, and a friend. Your family and friends have always been very important to you, and you always find time for them and to make contact with them. Over the years, you have found cause to celebrate every success and achievement, and it has been an enjoyable ride.
Can I ask Jimmy and Joy to please join me on stage? To mark this occasion with a small gift that captures the spirit of Jimmy and Joy, that will be also aligned with the Campari corporate culture, what we call Camparista, Dr. Phillips, and which is basically small but unique, stylish but fun, relaxed but with very high professional standard. And so we scratched our heads and we basically came up with this. So let me just, if you could please have them. I like the hat, Jimmy. So now for the best part of the evening. You have in your glass a one-of-a-kind masterpiece created by the master herself, especially for this occasion. So please join me as we raise our glasses in a salute to our G. Ray and nephew heroes, Jimmy and Joy. They are the embodiment of the true Jamaican spirit, which are surmised as resilient, friendly, driven, passionate, determined, and unique. To Jimmy and Joy. To you guys.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents will say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
There are few more things more exhilarating than to be recognized by one's country and peers, with family in tow, and particularly when it is unanticipated. This has been an amazing evening, just by virtue of the fact that we're all gathered here with you as guests representing various aspects of my relationships over the years. I am indeed elated and humbled. I gave thought as regards to what I'd say because you all know book and verse about me. And all that's left for me to do now is to give the vote of thanks. And this is it. At the risk of omission, I will mostly speak to groups rather than individuals. But you have all played tremendous roles in my life, and for that I am indeed grateful. I wish to express the gratitude to the Governor General, His Excellency the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, the Prime Minister, Most Honorable Andrew Holness, and the Minister of Tourism, Honorable Edmund Bartlett, for their collective endorsement and facilitation of the accolade bestowed on me. I give my commitment to this country that I love so dearly to continue making my personal contribution to building capacity and inspiring our youth in the belief that all can realize their dreams and aspirations with adequate preparation and commitment to one's stated goals. I must also recognize my colleague, Dr. Joy Spence. Joy is a phenomenal woman. We all agree, kind, caring, and highly intelligent. I am privileged to be a recipient of this honor along with her this year. I would also like to recognize a business associate, Mr. Clifton Yap, who on this occasion was awarded the Honor Order of Distinction Commander Class. Clifton is responsible for the architectural design execution of the Appleton Estate Rum Experience being constructed in St. Elizabeth. I'd also like to recognize and congratulate all other recipients of awards here in attendance. JP, our Managing Director, my colleague and friend, of course, is the initiator of this event, as my sources tell me. JP and I never compete. Even on company fun day races, we agree to run in opposite directions. The racetrack, is multi-directional so as not to compete. Unfortunately, he runs towards the start line consistently. This is an innovative cooperation, I think. It continues to be a pleasure working with you, JP. Your demeanor, your wit, and broad knowledge makes for a very easy work relationship, and I think you echoed that before. For that is of great appreciation to me, and I thank you, sir. When Taniki said to me, and I quote, "Jimmy, you got a CD." I said, "No, but I have a USB drive." Believe me, it was initially lost on me as to what this was about. Taniki has, in a very short period of time, implemented a robust and accelerated program surrounding corporate affairs and sustainability that this company, to my mind, has never experienced prior. I owe her and her expert team a debt of gratitude. Thank you and the organizing team for executing this exquisite event. To you all, I'm sincerely grateful for support, teamwork, and commitment to cause. I wish to close by proposing a toast to all of us in going forward, in the words of one of my favorite songs. May you think of your fellow man, give him a helping hand, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place for you and for me. Cheers, and thank you.
It is indeed a privilege and an honor to be bestowed with another national honor for my contribution to the rum industry and brand Jamaica. It is these two areas that spark my passion. I have been immensely fortunate that my 35 years tenure at J. Ray & Nephew has allowed me to pursue my passions. And passion is what it takes to make a mark in this world. Follow your instincts and your heart, and you cannot go wrong. This would not have been possible without the unwavering support of my family. Emile, Tracy, and Sean, my #1 cheerleaders, my #1 Facebook posters. Everywhere you go, you see a like, you see Sean and Tracy. My friends, my dear friends, I don't have a lot of friends, but I have very dear friends who are close to my heart, who are sitting right there. My classmates, my student who is here, my rum industry colleagues, fellow camperistas, and in particular, my beloved PSC team, PSC, enough respect. In the true spirit of Jamaica, I was awakened out of my bed in August at 3 a.m. in New Zealand by JP, our managing director, shouting, "We're going to have a big party to celebrate your CD with yourself and Jimmy." I said, "But JP, are you sure about this? Because I already have a national honor." He says, "No, you're getting a bigger one." Right? I said, "Okay. I am very proud and happy to hear this." And of course, there was Miss Taniki cheering in the background. So, having taken me out of REM sleep, I now had to sit up and reflect on all the various positive things that have happened in my life, and the fact that J. Ray Nephew has been a very important part of this. It was indeed a touching moment for me, and here we are tonight, celebrating in true J. Ray Nephew style. We do everything big. I want to thank the organizing committee for producing such a splendid and spirited event tonight, all led by Taniki. So Taniki and the organizing committee, I really appreciate it on behalf of Jimmy. I would like to take this occasion to congratulate Jimmy and to thank him for being not just a colleague, but a devoted friend who has given me tremendous support in what I do. Thank you all for being here, and continue to enjoy a spirit-filled evening, but remember, drink in moderation. Cheers, and as I always say, one love, enough respect to Jamaica.
Jean-Philippe Baer, Managing Director, joins me now. Talk to us about the contribution of Joy and Jimmy.
Well, I mean, it's an immense contribution. On Joy's side, you know, she's created some of the most famous rum in the world today. Since we acquired the company in 2012, we have increased the distribution tremendously through our group power and route to market. And we can see the reaction in all the markets. Everybody enjoys it, the trade, the consumer, and it's all due to her. You know, she creates this rum. It's one of the highest standards in the world, and so we are very happy and obviously very proud of her. Jimmy has been also very, very instrumental in us being who we are today in Jamaica. You know, when we bought the company here, there was a lot of different groups. You had the Lascelles group, the Lascelles distribution, we had J. Ray Nephew, and then the Campari group came in, and all this culture had to be mixed because we merged the companies, and it was not easy to actually be able to have a team that was united. And Jimmy has done a tremendous job as reuniting everybody. And now the team that we have is in great part because of him and his success, his professionalism, and his high standard. So we're also very grateful to him.
And that's it from us here at Devon House, where J. Ray and Nephew celebrated Jimmy and Joy. Until next time, I'm Candy, signing out for Business Access TV.
I'm Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world, and you're watching Business Access.
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
Welcome to another PSOJ President's Breakfast Forum, the third in the series for 2018. Business Access TV is here to bring you all the highlights. Today's theme, Disaster Risk Management for Business Continuity. I'm your host, Gareth Williams. Stay with us.
And welcome to the PSOJ's third President's Forum for 2018. We have dubbed this one the Disaster Risk Management for Business Continuity mini-seminar. Big words, big long sentence. We can't get into anything too complex this morning. At least I can't. Well, first of all, because I can't manage complex, right? I tend to try and stay with simple and direct. And in order to get across a point, I am going to stay with plan. The panelists will get into the details. If you do not plan for recovery, if you don't plan for disaster, especially when you don't have large resources, and even when you do, you are going to take a hit. You're going to take a serious hit. And this is something that we must know as individuals, as members of the business community, as governments. You can mitigate what is going to happen by anticipating it and planning for it. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's no secret that natural disasters impose remarkable losses on our nation's economy and by extension on the Caribbean's economy and development every single year. Last year's estimated total cost for the region was $215 billion US. And I'm sure the panelists will tell you all those gross and terrible details. That recovery process will go past my lifetime. So we must confess also that notwithstanding the decision from one of the most powerful people in the world that there is no such thing as climate change, the trend in natural disasters shows no decrease. And so there's an urgent need for the states and all partner organizations to make disaster preparedness and risk reduction, especially at the business level, a priority. If we're being honest with ourselves, we will admit that the campaigns leading up to the hurricane season are never really as comprehensive enough as they should be. We have silos of information, silos of planning, silos of behavior. We need to open those walls and share. And this is the other purpose of this seminar from the PSOJ's point of view. We need to establish the linkages to understand what it is we each other are doing so that we don't duplicate, and that when something happens, we know where we can get what. Okay? So that's the other theme that I would like to encourage. And I have been speaking about this and will continue to speak about participative democracy. We have a tendency to say, once we have voted, it's the state's business to take care of us. That used to happen on the plantation. We're not on the plantation anymore. We must take care of ourselves and each other. So I will continue to stress the participative nature of our activities in this country we call our own. The reality is we can't change where we live and do business, but we can adapt and plan proactively to mitigate against disaster impact.
The IMF, in its recently published book entitled Unleashing Growth and Strengthening Resilience in the Caribbean, dedicated many pages to talking about fiscal challenges in the Caribbean, coping with natural disasters. The IMF's research shows that since 1950, more than 12,000 natural disasters have been registered globally. During that same period, the Caribbean has been hit by 324 natural disasters. So you might say the 324 looks like a small number when compared with the 12,000, but the research shows that the economic impact of these 324 natural disasters in the Caribbean has been substantial, exceeding US $22 billion in constant 2009 dollars over the period 1950 to 2016, and those figures may be consistent with what you know. Contrast this $22 billion US dollars to the cost estimated at about $58 billion globally, and you get a sense of the magnitude of the vulnerability of our tourism-dependent economies in the Caribbean. So we in the Caribbean have suffered about 38% of the global damage from natural disasters. Collectively, our little islands, with 42.5 million people, compared with approximately 7.5 billion people in the rest of the world, and you can see that we have gotten more than our fair share of disaster. I am pleased to say that we have put in motion and are far along with our analytical work that will guide the eventual establishment of a policy framework for disaster risk financing at the national level ahead of a disaster. It will be amply consulted with local and international stakeholders. It will be based on the most recent specialized technical analysis available. In the end, what we envision is that we will have a portfolio, a suite of products for different levels of disaster, and a transparent investment plan to mitigate harm to people and damage to infrastructure. So we will continue to maintain a contingency in the budget to deal with those high-frequency events that have relatively low levels of damage. Rather than the one product that we have now, which is the CREF, that only kicks in. CREF means, catastrophic insurance that only kicks in. If there's a catastrophe, we envision different market-based products with quick disbursement features. We'll utilize the market for contingency lines of credit and catastrophic bonds, all within our envelope of affordability.
We'll be right back with much more from the PSOJ President's Breakfast Forum.
Do you want more experience from your SUV? Introducing the 2020 Nissan X-Trail with leading-edge technology, intelligent ride and chassis control, a round view monitor, and hill start assist for confidence behind the wheel, plus auto headlights and panoramic sunroof. Drive the SUV with more experience. The Nissan X-Trail, available today at Fidelity Motors.
Caring Hands Season 3 continues to effect change in a changing environment.
Many of us were raised by grandmothers, right? So, we know the wisdom that these people have.
Going beyond business.
The little leaders of today are our leaders of tomorrow. And with the proper education, we'll have very good leadership coming from that.
That's Season 3 of Caring Hands, creating change and shaping lives, every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Welcome back to the PSOJ President's Breakfast Forum under the theme Disaster Risk Management for Business Continuity.
It only takes a spark, they say, to get a fire going. And I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, active or not active, the ODPEM and the Disaster Risk Management Organization of Jamaica is ready. The rain events of June 2017, March to June 2017, cost us $4 billion in loss, 0.2% of GDP. That was just rain. A trough came over us, and 0.2% of GDP was lost. Can you imagine what would happen if we had a tropical cyclone? The events in Montego Bay, November 22nd, 91.5 millimeters of rainfall occurred in 4.5 hours, flooded some 27 communities, $37 million in losses. The ODPEM continues to remain at the forefront of disaster preparedness in Jamaica and, yes, in the region. Our preparedness and our preparation programs never stop. We don't wait for the 1st of June to put things in gear. They're always happening. Multiple training activities in shelter management, first aid, emergency operations, damage assessment continues. Public information is a normal part of our processes. Shelter preparations. Right now we have some 700 shelters across the island, which are all certified, equipped, management team in place, ready for the first sign of an event. When we have these events, I know people go home, they batten up, they take their precautions, they stock up. But I am not sure where we are as businesses in Jamaica. I am not sure how many businesses in Jamaica have plans in place, large or small. And let me tell you, in a former life, I was involved with occupational safety and health. And one of the things I found very disturbing is that most of the companies that had these plans were companies that were either owned by an overseas entity or traded overseas. Our local companies did not bother with it. There's no law that says that they have to have it. And they don't. Many do not have it. And so the question is, where is your alternate site for your office? What if the facility that you now occupy were to be compromised by, yes, a hurricane or an earthquake? Do you have somewhere else that you can go to and run business? How is your information system platform set up? How is it organized? Where can you replicate data from? Can you go to another site, plug and play, if your server in your physical building were to go? Ladies and gentlemen, your recovery will depend and will tell the country where we sit. We are now in the process, working alongside the UNDP, of rolling out a governance continuity plan, a continuity of governance plan. And this is the plan that deals with the macro picture of how government continues after an impact. But it cannot happen without the private sector.
So we are vulnerable to a range of hazards. You name them, and we are exposed to them. We are ranked as the 3rd highest country to be exposed to more than 3 hazards across the world. And what that means to us is that we have to be prepared for all of them. Being prepared has to do with steps that we take to prevent an emergency from happening. It has to do with the steps that we take when the emergency is happening. And it also has to do with steps that we take after the emergency has occurred. And I think that is what we were looking at more this morning, the continuity of business. How does someone get their business back up and running after a major shock? And so we're saying to persons that you have to now sit, and a plan has to be put in place for that. And that plan could be one sheet of paper. Yes, it could be as simple as that. What are the things that you have that could cause your business to collapse? What are the things that you have that could impact your business adversely? And if you have identified those, can you now take steps to prevent that from happening?
So the theme of my presentation is a call for action with respect to disaster risk management for business continuity. So just to share with you some of the terminology that the Government of Canada uses: EM for emergency management, ERT for emergency response team, to get our internal teams ready and ramped up whenever there's a crisis. And we follow the Incident Command System, ICS. So with the impact of climate change, we would all agree that it is expected that every year the hurricane season is becoming more precarious. The strength and intensity of major hurricanes, as we saw in the last 2 seasons, is of grave concern to us all. We all have to contend with the unique global political climate, as well with diminishing resources and capacity limitations. So before moving to Jamaica, I worked in Colombia for 3 years as the Readiness Security Program Manager at the Embassy of Canada. Colombia has to contend with earthquakes and other types of disasters as well, criminality, etc. And during my time in Colombia in 2014, I had the great opportunity to pursue an executive education program at Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government called Leadership in Crises, taught by professors Arnold Howitt and Herman Dutch Leonard. And I brought the text today, Managing Crises, Responses to Large-Scale Emergencies. So one of the ideas I wanted to share with you is what the professors talk about, a comparison of the response modes for routine emergencies and crises emergencies. How is a crisis defined? By the scale, by the novelty of the type of crisis that we have to contend with. So if the crisis is obviously so large, we have to approach it entirely differently to deal with it effectively. So just to share with you some frames of reference for the response mode between routine and crises. So how does our situational awareness and expertise have to be for a crisis? It has to be, our expertise has to be low, but with an openness to recognizing the novelty that is necessary. Our decision-making has to be cognitively driven and analytic. Our skills required, incompletely specified, but creativity and improvisational ability are important. How about our leadership? Adaptive, comfortable sharing authority, skilled in eliciting ideas from the team, and innovative. How about our organizational structure? It has to be flattened for solution development. It has to be more hierarchical for design, hierarchical for execution. How about execution? It must be fault tolerant because solutions have been improvised and are thus not fully tested or practiced. So the professors say that, and I'll read, the ability to routinize emergency responses is an enormous organizational strength and permits responders, through experience and advanced planning, to deal quickly and effectively with a host of critical circumstances. Moreover, the ability to look ahead, to imagine future challenges, and make effective plans. We need to assemble the necessary resources, train personnel in advance of the occurrence of an emergency to transform the potential crises into a more manageable and thus routine event.
It doesn't matter if you have a small business or a big company with help from abroad. You have to be ready. You have to be prepared. You have to plan in ahead in order to face any problem that can be caused, but it could be even a disease. Remember when Zika affected the region, the Caribbean region, also the tourism was affected. Most of our countries, almost all of the countries in the Caribbean depends on tourism, and anything can impact, any detail can impact that business. And for us that we are on the energy sector, on the oil industry, the success of the small businesses of the countries is part of our business as well. It is not, okay, it's ready. It is not only us to be ready, also our customer need to be ready. And that's one of the reasons why we are glad to share our experience here with you.
Now we'll take our final break, but don't go anywhere. We've got much more highlights right after these messages.
I'm 36. I'm a husband, a manager, and still very good looking. In 2 hours, I have the most important meeting of my life. But first, it's time to play. The new Suzuki Vitara.
Thanks for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, we are at the PSOJ President's Breakfast Forum under the theme Disaster Risk Management for Business Continuity. Let's join our presenter on stage.
What I'll be discussing this morning is Ray and Nephew's experience with one particular disaster event which brought home to us the importance of properly organizing and planning for any type of emergency. So it's, the experience I'll describe is not a natural disaster, but the lessons learned is applicable to any emergency events that you might face. Ray and Nephew had been operating on Spanish Town Road for several years without any significant incident. But on the 1st of December 2009, that all changed. An area that we repair barrels that we use for aging rum, at 5 o'clock, a worker in that area discovered what he thought to be the fire. Just to give you a scale of the event, we lost approximately 59,000 square feet of infrastructure. We lost our electrical grid on the compound. We lost 2 warehouses that stored over 14,000 barrels of rum, and we lost almost 1 million liters of absolute alcohol of rum of various ages. You can imagine the amount of calls that I got the night wondering if Ray and Nephew was out of business and if my friends could continue to get rum after the event. So what did we learn from that event? Although we had, or we thought we had, established emergency response plans and systems that could deal with any eventuality, when the actual emergency occurred, we found that to be not the case. There were deficiencies that were highlighted, some of which included the preparedness for the eventuality. Because we hadn't had an incident for some time, we did not put training as a priority. It is key for employees to know when an event occurs, what are the things to do automatically. We did drills, but the drills turned out to be evacuation drills. There was weakness in command and control. We didn't establish a proper incident command post from where all the directions were given at the time of the emergency. Access control was also weak. There was a point where the managing director and the prime minister themselves were next to the fire while it was going on. I don't think that is a smart thing to do, given the nature of alcohol fires. We also had identified to us weakness in our resourcing specific to the emergency. In this case, it was an alcohol fire. Specific to alcohol fires, you really need alcohol-resistant foam. You need to have copious amounts of water. We were not prepared for that. And communication, also key in the event of an emergency. Who is that single point of contact for the outside world that will get the information accurately and on time? Internal communications, are we sure that everybody who needs to respond to the emergency is getting the right message? All those things we found to be deficient. Coming out of the experience, we made several recommendations, some of which have been achieved. The key ones being the improved emergency response framework, our improvement in our disaster response plans, and the fact that we initiated business continuity, which I'll discuss shortly. It was made clear after the event that we needed to ensure that our plans conformed to the principles of emergency management, which you see there. So we had to ensure that whatever system we came up with for future eventualities addressed the mitigation of the emergency, right? Trying to prevent it in the first place, preparation of our teams, ensuring they know what to do in the event of the emergency, the actual response to the emergency, make sure that those plans are properly documented and understood, and how do we recover as quickly as possible after the event. There are several components of business continuity, as I'm sure you are aware. We have been focusing in the last several years on the emergency response component to ensure that we are as prepared as possible, both through documentation and preparation of the teams to respond to likely emergencies. As part of the Campari Group, we have the benefit of a crisis management plan, and our disaster recovery, certainly as it relates to information technology, is well advanced. Where we need to do work, and the intention is to start that in earnest by the end of this year, is the business recovery aspect. So we have done ad hoc business impact analyses, but we need to do it more comprehensively, and so we can put the complete business continuity plan together. So as soon as possible after an emergency, we can be up and running effectively.
For MSMEs that don't have the kind of resources as large businesses, such as J. Ray and Nephew, my advice is don't worry about that you don't have the kind of resources that larger companies have. Scale your response to the resources that you do have, but have a plan as to what to do. So, for example, you may not be able to own a generator, but you need to have a plan. What do I do if my power goes out? Can I operate my business by candlelight? Can I buy a small UPS that will help me? So those are the kinds of things you need to think of, alternatives that you can manage within your resources, but you have to have a plan. That is the first step in getting prepared for an emergency.
This time around, the theme was disaster risk management and for business continuity. Okay, and what we are trying to do, the approach that we're trying to take is to sensitize first our members and the wider community to the importance of planning. Right? We can't stop natural disasters. They're the acts of God. But what we can do is mitigate the consequences by anticipating the level of risk, anticipating the vulnerabilities, and protecting ourselves against them by preparing for them. So one of the things that the PSOJ is trying to work on with ODPM is the development of a disaster plan template, a standard plan that small businesses and medium-sized businesses can look at and fit their circumstances into it. So for the next staging of our President's Forum, we are looking at customer service promotion and forum that will deal with the elements of customer service in Jamaica. Customer service in Jamaica needs improvement. So that is an area that we are considering for the next forum.
That brings us to the end of our coverage of the PSOJ President's Breakfast Forum. Until next time, I'm Garth Williams. Stay tuned to Business Access TV, serious about business.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
All human life is precious. Respect life. No more senseless killings. No more.
You are watching Business Access TV. Business Access. Business Access. Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
Welcome to BATV's coverage of the Masters of Cardiology under the theme Cardiovascular Care and Technologies in Low-Resource Environments. Hi, I'm Javon Keys, and we're here to bring you the highlights. Stay tuned. So tell us, what was the idea behind this weekend's conference?
Well, a large part of our mission is education of not only our doctors internally, but our community doctors, because as we're fond of saying, cardiology is a team sport. So if we know everything there is to know about the heart, but the people who are referring patients into us don't, then patients are not getting the best possible care, or sometimes their care is being overlooked or symptoms are being missed. So we decided that having a conference, having a formalized approach to educating our community was in order.
So for the Caribbean generally, is heart disease something that we should be particularly concerned about?
Absolutely. I am fond of saying that if we put all other causes of death and disability in a box, so whether it be cancer or HIV or murders or slip and fall, car accidents, if you put all those causes that Jamaicans and people in the Caribbean die in a box, and then you put cardiovascular diseases in another box, you would not be able to fill the cardiovascular disease box with all of those causes combined. So when we're talking about cardiovascular diseases, we usually include diabetes in there because the lion's share of diabetics die from heart disease. So heart disease, stroke, and heart attacks or cardiovascular disease as a bundle kill more Jamaicans than all other causes of death and disability combined. So we really all should care about it.
You had some big names here. Tell us how that was and the reception that you've been getting from patrons about the kind of conversations that took place.
We organized a conference under the theme Masters of Cardiology. And what we wanted to do was really to get absolute masters, people who are adjudged by their peers to be among the best of the best. And so we've got chairmen and division heads from major academic institutions in the U.S. We have the chairman of medicine from the University of Pennsylvania, the chief of cardiology from the University of Pennsylvania. We have the chairman of cardiology from UCLA, and the list goes on.
It promises to be a very exciting conference. The learning never stops. The moment you stop learning, you're dead. Dr. Parmasek has been a great leader in medicine for many, many years, and he graciously accepted our invitation to headline this event with the opening keynote lecture, and I think that is going to be very, very revealing because everything we're able to accomplish in medicine has to do with the leadership that drives it. But sometimes, there are innate qualities in leadership, and there are some things that we have to learn along the way to accomplish that. And I'm looking forward excitedly to hear that lecture and other lectures to follow. Jamaica is a very beautiful island. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth, so some of you may not have time to explore the rest of Jamaica, but this should be an ongoing series of conferences we're going to have. We're looking forward to robust collaborations with our partners that are here, and I think you will be hearing more of us. We'll be welcoming you all again here.
So we developed a multi-pronged program. We hired professional coaches
for every one of the people on the leadership team for 1 or 2 years. And we developed a model to focus on what they wanted to accomplish as an individual, where they felt their needs were. Now, I was skeptical, I got to tell you, about this professional coaching. I didn't know what these people did. But as a number of people have pointed out to me, even professional tennis players still have a coach. If you can get people that have these skills, and there are organizations that teach these people, we found these professional coaching properly directed incredibly important. We started with a full-day immersion in terms of leadership and had a plenary speaker on that subject with many exercises. Then over the course of 2 years, we had, and I want to stress, interactive sessions. These were not just lectures on how to have a difficult conversations. They were simulations. They were exercises. There was peer-peer interactions in terms of getting people engaged. And we felt that this tripartite approach, combined with readings, and I can again provide you with a list of the readings that we'd recommend, were what our faculty needed to develop their leadership skills. And again, this was our overall goal, to improve, move people to the right on that 9 box, improve their learning agility, because this touched everything. And ultimately, if we were going to lead change, we needed people that were agile, that could function in multiple domains and not just focus on one trait. And this is when we looked at the 9 box in terms of where our faculty started out. This is actually what it looked like. We had a number of people that, as you're facing it on the left, were really people that tended to focus on depth, going in depth to things. We had a few people that were actually focusing more on agility. Now, the truth of the matter is you don't want to be too far right or too far left. Some people are more detail-oriented, more focused-oriented. Some are more agile. But where you really want to be is somewhere balanced, somewhere in the middle. And so this was what our curriculum looked like. We first developed a cadre of coaches, and we did some matchmaking, knowing the skills of the coaches and the skills of our trainees. We had each of the division chiefs and each of the vice chairs and division administrators do a personal Via Edge personality survey. And that shows you your own personal style. Now, I was skeptical about that. I took it myself. But I have to tell you, I learned more about myself with this little tool, and I think it was dead on than I really fully ever appreciated about myself. And we used that to inform the coaches. The only people that saw this were the coaches and the trainees in terms of what they should focus on, in terms of the development of this leader in our department. And then we started the interactive sessions. We had a few rules. First of all, we wanted people to show up. Second of all, we said, what's said in this room stays in this room. We knew people needed to expose themselves, their vulnerabilities in terms of what they needed to learn, and tell people stories about what things they had done that had worked, and also things that they had done when they had failed. We wanted our division chiefs and vice chairs to bring examples of both. We wanted people to keep all their scheduled coaching sessions. I think we insisted on about 10 hours of coaching over the course of a year. We said that nobody could send substitutes, and we basically invited our division administrators to selected sessions, primarily focused on the business and finance of the department.
I'm going to talk about resistant hypertension, new and emerging concepts. I'd like to thank Drs. Bao and Madhu and Ms. Lisa. They've done wonderful things organizing this particular conference. I bring you greetings from New Orleans, which is the most northern Caribbean city. So I understand being a little bit behind in time. But I have a lot that I want to cover, and it's related to an area which I think is important not only in the United States, but also throughout the Caribbean: high rates of hypertension, high rates of poorly controlled hypertension. Here are data from the United States. So this is non-Hispanic white, this is non-Hispanic black. And over the last several decades, you see cardiovascular disease mortality has been coming down. But what you may note are two things. One is, if you take those data out to 2014, you see a plateau. It's starting to slow down in terms of the decrease in mortality. And some of the newer data are suggesting there may even be an uptick in cardiovascular mortality as we have increase in obesity, diabetes, poorly controlled hypertension. The other thing I want you to show is if you're looking at all cardiovascular disease, the top curve, the differences between blacks and whites in the United States, it's not even close. We're not talking about social science. This is dead bodies at the side of the road. Cardiovascular mortality comes earlier and higher in the black population when compared to the white population. Here are the rates of hypertension control. You can see we did well for several decades, but over the last several years, the rates of control are actually starting to decrease somewhat. Now, who has resistant hypertension, which is basically blood pressure that remains above goal despite being on 3 or more medications at maximally tolerated doses, and often that includes a calcium channel blocker, RAS blocking agent, and a diuretic. This is a paper that I published 2 years ago, and one of the markers for resistant hypertension is black race. Now, I'm not suggesting that this is genetically driven. Some of it's related to disadvantaged status, health-seeking behavior, not having a primary source of care, and when the person presents to the hospital, the emergency room, the urgent clinic, they've already had years of poorly controlled hypertension. Living in the southeastern part of the United States, which is where much of the African diaspora came in to the United States, remains disadvantaged for resistant hypertension, excessive salt intake, and excessive alcohol intake. Alcohol raises the HDL. It has not been shown to be protective as we once thought, especially for men, 2 or more drinks. A woman, 1 or more drinks on a daily basis may actually cause an increase in hypertension.
We take a break now, but we'll be right back with more from the Masters of Cardiology.
Great design is not only how things look, but also how well they work. The GLC, more than meets the eye.
All human life is precious. Respect life. No more senseless killings. No more.
Cameo brings the creative industries to life. Delighting creatives in different fields each week. Art.
My life turns art. I breathe, I eat art.
Fashion. Food.
Without a customer, we're nothing but 4 walls.
Music. Film. Cameo, only on Business Access TV.
Welcome back to Masters of Cardiology. Here's more. The Heart Institute of the Caribbean is the only one of its kind in the region, is it?
That's correct, in the English-speaking Caribbean.
And what kind of gap has it filled regarding the whole issue of cardiovascular diseases or issues in the region?
Hopefully, we're trying to play a role in helping to address the rising epidemic of cardiovascular diseases in Jamaica, specifically, and in the Caribbean in general. So with the Heart Institute of the Caribbean as the only freestanding cardiac center of excellence, and the HIC Heart Hospital as the only heart hospital in the English-speaking Caribbean, we have provided a platform, for individuals with cardiovascular disease to have one-stop shop where they can get acute treatment and ongoing management of chronic cardiovascular conditions.
And with that, there's no surprise that you would have had this conference, Masters of Cardiology, to tell us where that idea came from.
Well, one of the part of the mandate of the Heart Institute of the Caribbean is to continue to inform and educate and continue to learn. We believe that effective cardiovascular service delivery has to be a coordinated team effort to make sure that the various aspects of diagnosis, treatment, and ongoing management are properly covered. It's impossible to deliver good cardiovascular care as a one-man. It's not a one-man sport. It's a team sport. There are so many aspects of cardiology. One cardiologist cannot know everything. It's impossible. If you have any one cardiologist that tells you he can deal with everything, then I think you have to question the sincerity of that claim. One cardiologist can also not be on call or available 24/7, 365 days. As you know, cardiovascular disease can be fatal and can be quickly fatal, and acute heart attacks can occur without warning. And so if you have a solo cardiologist, running a center, then that will make it impossible. It puts patients' lives, at risk essentially, because that person may not be available when the heart attack, strikes. So that is the kind of information patients and doctors also may not be consciously aware of. And so intellectual exchanges of best practices become very critical. And the work we do has, many ramifications. And our expertise also informs our approach. We have international collaborations. Our peers internationally recognize our competence and have respect for what we do, as we do what they do, the kind of respect we have for them. So it's shared values.
So why does virtual care matter? And we're defining here virtual care as care in which the doctor is not actually putting their hands on the patient. They are either interacting with them over the phone or video, or they're an expert who's reviewing a synthesis of that patient's records. Can virtual care really make a difference? Well, I would like to recognize Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In 1966, he was speaking at a press conference in Chicago, and he said, of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhuman. So the work that all of us are doing that brings us here today is not only helping a patient here and there, but it's doing the right thing. It's combating injustices, injustice and inequality in access to medical care. What can virtual care accomplish? If I'm not here laying my hands on the patient, putting my stethoscope on the chest, can virtual care really make a difference? The answer is yes. So basically, Ashifa is a woman in her early 50s who had a lump in her neck, and she was diagnosed with metastatic squamous cell carcinoma. And she came to Best Doctors, which is the company I work for and has subsequently been acquired by Teladoc Health. To have, she lives in Calgary, but she wanted to have her case reviewed by top experts in head and neck cancer, top experts in pathology, to see if her treatment, her planned chemoradiation, was the right thing to do.
I had a lump on my neck, and what happened was we got a biopsy done and it was negative. There were no issues. But my family doctor said, it doesn't belong there and let's get it removed. About 10 days after that, I got a call, and it was my surgeon. The surgeon said, Ashifa, you need to clear your calendar. No appointments, nothing. Clear it for a few months. This is not going to be a fun treatment. You are going to be living a nightmare.
Ashifa's doctors were searching, doing multiple biopsies in her throat, her tongue, removing her tonsils to try to find where did that cancer originate.
and they couldn't find it. The chemotherapy that's used to treat head and neck cancers is often uses what are called platinum-based agents, and those are very toxic. They're ones that cause a lot of side effects, a lot of nausea, are very difficult to go through. And then again, the radiation, instead of just having a focused field of radiation, they were really looking to irradiate a large area of Ashifa's head and neck, hoping to get the cancer wherever it originated because they couldn't find it.
And somewhere throughout that, all of a sudden, it hit me. I've got a Best Doctors policy, and I need to contact them.
At Best Doctors, we take very, very seriously the trust that people put in us. And we recognize that it is absolutely critical always to go to the primary source, always to use the primary data, because misdiagnosis can happen anywhere. So it's not enough to just take a pathology report on face value or a radiology report on face value. We always make sure to collect the primary data ourselves and have our experts review the pathology, have experts in the field reviewing the radiology scans, because that is something that really enables people to feel very confident that misdiagnosis, if it's there, has been identified and that their diagnosis is accurate. The treatment will be there to deliver optimal outcomes.
3 days before the treatment was supposed to start, we got the magic call from Best Doctors. It said, no cancer.
Multiple top pathologists all looking at our slides to confirm that in that lymph node, there was no cancer, that the diagnosis of metastatic cancer was wrong.
The end result is there was no cancer. There is no radiation. There is no chemo.
So, and what Ashifa ends up, what she has is Sjogren's disease, which caused some very, very funny-looking lymphocytes to be in her lymph node, but it was not cancer. So, but why did Ernest invite me to speak here today? The reason is this, is that all of us are looking to improve the access of men and women and children to high-quality medical care. And the potential of virtual care to be able to be a remarkable tool in this mission that we all are engaged in it's remarkable.
We're here today in Jamaica, and a lot of what we're talking about, I think the people as I sat down listening to all these talks, the folks at HIC have done a lot of these things already. And I think, maybe looking at the model that you guys have implemented, I know you've probably gone through some rough and tumble period in building this, because as my own experience is that it's not easy to accomplish what you've done. But I've had some unique experiences in Nigeria. This is where, we need to look at sustainable options. Nigeria is a unique country with about 186 million people in 2016, expected to become the fourth largest country in the world by 2050, with about almost 493 million people. And the GDP is 376 billion and is considered lower middle income. We've seen a similar graph for many low middle income countries similar to this in the course of this talk, where there's still a large percentage of the population that are young. And the healthcare system there is very fragmented. Like, as you see, there are 33,000 general hospitals, 20,000 primary care centers, and 59 teaching hospitals. But the healthcare is accessed by only 43% of the population. And that's a problem. And sometimes a lot of the drugs, they are substandard, they are imported from different parts of the world, some are manufactured locally. But so my role was to work with Heart Rhythm Society. I currently serve as ambassador for the Heart Rhythm Society to Africa, about how do we grow the practice of electrophysiology on the continent. And we started a few years ago just with some colleagues, where we first of all tried to define the magnitude of the need and some of the other things that that we may be able to do. But a lot of the services currently is limited to implantation of devices. Some of the barriers we saw was the issue of infrastructure. and the cost to the patient, as I mentioned before, and the lack of trust in the medical system by the patients, and also the issue of the fear between primary care doctors and cardiologists. I heard that being that they feel they lose the patients to the cardiologists. We face the same issue that primary care doctors were afraid to refer to the cardiologists. Even we face the same issue in the United States. It's the same issue everywhere that they look. But the key is to train people that keep that patient alive first. That's how you can have a patient in the first place.
Stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
Island Hour, it's Island Hour, it's Island Hour.
Bullseye for Eyes Summer Sale. Try your luck at the Bullseye and get up to 40% off your frames. Land on the Bullseye and your eyeglasses are completely free. This summer, July 15th to August 31st, everyone is a winner at Island Eyewear. Conditions apply. Call 630-1180 or visit islandeyewear.com. Island Eyewear, your price, your style.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
Have you seen it? It's BATV Live. Live streams of business news weekdays at 7:30 p.m. Stay on point Thursdays at 8 p.m. with our Business Current Affairs show. And Weekend Business Report Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. wherever you are. Log on to our Facebook page at Business Access TV or visit our website at batvja.com. Live and at your fingertips. Business Access TV. Serious about business.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
I'm Richard Biles, CEO of Sagicor, and you're watching Business Access.
In case you're just joining us, we are at the Jamaica Pegasus for the Masters of Cardiology event. Stay tuned for more highlights.
When I was a single surgeon here, I would have to treat cases, cardiac cases, general thoracic cases, and there comes a point in time in that when you are the only surgeon, what do you do in relation to getting or training other youngsters to take over from your position? Because of this limited resources, we planned over a number of years to introduce the program, and we finally at the University of the West Indies introduced the DM in cardiothoracic surgery, which involved training. In the first 3 years, the members of this program were exposed to general surgery, and within that 3-year period, they had 6 months in cardiac surgery and 6 months in general thoracic surgery. Then they had the final 3 to 5 years was spent in being exposed purely to cardiac and general thoracic surgery. Now, of course, the opportunity to be exposed to these programs was limited by the number of patients that you operated on, and of course, the number of patients operated on was limited by the resources that were available to you. And fortunately, to increase the resources and the number of patients operated on, I was able to invite teams of surgeons, teams of cardiologists to visit at certain periods of time. We would investigate the patients, and we would do these cases, thus increasing the number available to our trainees. But of course, we felt that the numbers were not significant enough in Jamaica, and we arranged with our colleagues for these youngsters to be trained in facilities in other countries. Unfortunately, with this program, we have established the numbers of cardiothoracic surgeons in Jamaica now is approaching 7, and I will then hand over to our other members of the panel, because their information would increase our what we have available for our graduates.
In terms of GME training or residency training or fellowship training in low or medium resource environments, it's all about partnership. But let me say from the outside that this is not a one-way partnership. It goes in both directions. At Penn Medicine, we have some experience historically in starting a medical school in partnership with the University of Botswana. It's now in its 7th or 8th year. And I would say approximately 1/4 to 1/3 of our medicine residents at Penn actually spend time in Botswana getting a global health experience. And I'm absolutely convinced that we get as much out of this as hopefully they're gaining from our interactions with them. We also send faculty members and have an on-site director in Botswana. The point is, it's about a two-way partnership. We all can learn from each other. And I think that I'm very excited. Dr. Madhu has reached out to us about an interaction in cardiology. I was talking to Dr. Coppola, our chief of cardiology, about about sending both our trainees down here, our faculty down here, but also bringing trainees from Jamaica and the Heart Institute and the rest of Jamaica, for that matter, back to Penn for some training.
So I'm Carol Watson. I run the cardiology fellowship at UCLA. And I can tell you, when I took over the fellowship 5 years ago, we sort of reimagined the whole thing. And one of the key principles we put in there was that the world is flat and cardiology is global. So one of the things that was never a part of our fellowship before was a global experience. Since then, we have a elective rotation in Malawi. And again, most of our internal medicine residents go to Malawi, and now some of our cardiology fellowships. We have an ongoing collaboration in Malawi where when we first went over there, we got a grant to take over 3 echo machines. And with that, we were able to quadruple the number of echo machines they had in Malawi. So they now have 4, and we have an ongoing collaboration where we trained physicians there to read echoes, and honestly, they read echoes better than some of our echocardiographers now, and they send studies back and forth. And so that's been a really fruitful collaboration. We also now have an elective in China. We have a affiliated hospital that we send fellows back and forth with. We have a quarterly Trans-Pacific Cath conference where we take turns. They present a case, we present a case, and it's so interesting hearing how similar the patients are and how similar the procedures are, but then also how different the approach is. And so many of the approaches make a lot more sense. So we're getting as much as they're getting, I agree with you. Making sure we can offer as much as we take is important, and I will be talking to Dr. Madhu about initiating some kind of partnership with his institution, because again, what we take away and what we give, I think, is so important to our trainees, and there's no way you can train a cardiovascular specialist for the future without understanding the global landscape.
Walter Clare from Vanderbilt, and actually mine is more been focused on the undergraduate medical educational aspects of global health and under-resourced areas. So quite frankly, at Vanderbilt, we do not have formal active relationships in global health for our students, but we have a strong program in coordination with our program in public health that allows our students to have a global health experience. They do various exchanges. But in fact, at Vanderbilt, we find ourselves a well-resourced, highly technically oriented academic medical center in the midst of what we call the cardiovascular disease belt of the southeastern United States. And so to some large extent, our experience with under-resourced areas has to do with working with the rural communities in not only Tennessee, but southern Kentucky and northern Alabama. And what we basically have done at the medical student level is to get our students involved in those types of activities, as well as our own medical student clinic, which a lot of universities around the United States are doing now. A little bit of the uniqueness of ours is that we have a collaborative relationship with Meharry, one of our historically black medical schools in Nashville, and we have what we call the Vanderbilt Meharry Alliance. So we do a lot of population health with them. But what I really want to talk to you about for a moment is the fact that we have indeed, with all due respect to what's going on at UPenn and leadership, been focused on this issue of leadership at the undergraduate medical level with our students. About a decade ago, we developed a program in health and wellness for our medical students. And it started out primarily as an activity that involved extracurricular events. And then about 8 years ago, it transitioned, just about a year before I started working with the program, to incorporating narrative writing, mindfulness, public policy, leadership, and conflict management into a curriculum for all of our entering medical students. At Vanderbilt, we've divided our medical school into 4 colleges. Each of the 4 colleges has a couple of mentors. I'm one of the 2 mentors for my college, Chapman College. And so when the medical students enter our school, they're assigned to a college. It's not strictly at random. And they stay in that college until they graduate. And that includes the MD, PhD students. So I have some students who've been with us 7 years. And over the course of those 7 years, we start out with that curriculum, which involves 43-hour sessions during their first year and multiple sessions throughout the remainder of their medical school curriculum. And we do almost everything that you saw in that slide about leadership development in some form or fashion with our students. It's really an introductory level for them. And it's interesting that I've served on visiting committees to a number of other medical schools. One in particular I visited recently, and they had worked in collaboration with us to change their curriculum. And I was unpleasantly surprised to learn that much of the stuff on emotional intelligence and conflict management was not included in their curriculum. And when we evaluated them and we talked to their faculty about the problems they were having with the new change in their curriculum and the relationships that were not going well among their students as they worked in the classrooms, they admitted that they'd missed the ball on that, and that in fact they had to abruptly stop the curriculum, put it in recess for a bit, and go back and teach the students how to interact with each other. Because most of our medical students are in medical school because they have been highly successful individual learners. They have not necessarily learned how to work in teams, and that's where we find most of the conflict.
We now take our final break, but please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
What kind of ESN paper this?
I'm a birth certificate.
You what?
Birth certificate.
Hold on. Let me help you.
Where are you?
I apply for your birth certificate online on the RGD website. You're lucky things improve and get easy now. This didn't have any security feature. All your granny could have write this.
Transformation is happening across the public sector. Many services are now available online. We are building a better public service for all. Brought to you by the Transformation Implementation Unit.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, Fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents will say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Violence against women is a violation of human rights. Its impact ranges from immediate to long-term physical, mental, and sexual consequences, sometimes resulting in death. It negatively impacts women's general well-being and can prevent us from fully participating in society. Be a better human being. No more violence against women. No more.
We are back with another exciting, innovative, and inspiring season.
It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, being consistent and persistent in whatever you're doing. That's the bottom line.
Business exists to add value to people's lives. And if we're not doing that, might as well lock down the store and just call it a day.
It's a season 3 of Creating Wealth, Mondays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Welcome back to our coverage of the Masters of Cardiology event here at the Jamaica Pegasus. Here are more highlights. How did you feel when you got the invite to come to this conference?
I think I was very privileged and honored. I was also, I think, just thrilled at the fact that a conference like this exists. I'm an academic cardiologist and I go to many conferences, I participate in many endeavors, but not all of them, I think, are, as focused on issues which affect many of us, but not everyone rises to the occasion to try to address it.
For persons watching, what are some of the recommendations you may have to the average viewer about ensuring that they are up to date regarding their cardiovascular health?
So I think one of the important things is doctors are your friends, okay? We talk about a healthy lifestyle, and in general, I think many people, maybe they are aware of it, but I think a lot of people know about the importance of keeping their weight under control. If you have too much weight, you need to lose weight. Even if you are the right weight, everybody needs to exercise, and again, diet, avoiding bad habits like smoking. So there are a lot of those things. But then to also know that there are diseases which can come on which you won't know. You don't know or feel when your blood pressure goes up. You don't know or feel when your blood sugar goes up, when your cholesterol goes up. So there are many things which are hard for you to know, but they can affect you long term. And so don't be afraid of doctors. I know that there are many thoughts about doctors, what they do, what will they do, but we've learned, especially I think in other countries, that preventing disease is the most powerful thing you can do. And as I've said, some of these are invisible things. So I think everyone should, as part of what they do, at least every 1 or 2 years, in a healthy person, at least see your primary care doctor who can screen you. And if they, discover something that needs a cardiologist, we're more, for people who have more disease, then you will get referred to us. But at least make sure you're seeing a primary care physician on a regular basis.
So what was your discussion based on today? What was your topic?
It was a lot of topics today about educational topic and real problem for training physicians here in Jamaica, and on other topics about the healthcare system in Jamaica and how to provide the best healthcare for all the patients in here. A lot of technical topics about the cardiology and the advances, the new advances in cardiology in the time being, and how can we deliver and conduct this advances to Jamaica for the time being.
What was your main takeaway from the event, the conference overall?
Yes, sure. Those conferences we are making to provide a real impact on the society after that. So it's not kind of meeting people, it's kind of re-innovation of the system and the innovation of all the, and revising how we are doing things. So today we had this opportunity to meet all the pioneers. This first time that this conference happened in Jamaica, and I hope that it will run every year to see all those brilliant guys over there, over here more time.
So tell us your view on this conference.
This was a very, very, very well-run, very educational conference. I'm impressed by the lineup of the masters of cardiology, the wealth of experience they brought to the meeting, and then the overall focus on cardiology management in our setting, our resource board setting. Most of the presentations, even though we discussed fairly, cutting-edge topics, everything was brought back around to how does it impact the Caribbean people. So I thought it was a very good conference.
What was your topic or topics of focus?
My topic was on women and heart disease and special considerations for Caribbean women.
And that discussion is important because we find that more women in the Caribbean are prone to heart-related diseases. Is that correct?
It is correct. So ischemic heart disease is the #1 cause of death in most of the countries of the Caribbean, and even in Jamaica, where diabetes is said to be the #1 cause of death, that death is mediated through cardiovascular disease. So one of the issues with women is and not just women, but their providers, et cetera, and the public, people tend to think about breast cancer and other gynecological cancers as being their #1 problem. And yes, early on in the reproductive years, that is an issue. But as you get older, cardiovascular disease takes over as the #1 healthcare issue. And when you look at a population as a whole, cardiovascular disease ends up being the leading cause of morbidity and mortality. So when we talk about women and heart disease, it starts from education of the public, public perceptions on women's risk for heart disease, and trying to twist that in people's minds. Even in the primary care setting, a lot of primary care providers don't consider cardiovascular disease risk when they're seeing their patients. They think about doing the pap smears and the mammograms and all of that, but especially as the woman starts to age in their late 40s and 50s, then they need to, that conversation has to be had.
Dr. Capola, tell us about the discussion that you had today. What was your topic?
We had a very interesting discussion today as part of a session on how to have care collaborations between centers in other areas and the Heart Institute of the Caribbean. And it was a real privilege to think it through. So at my institution, we have 144 cardiologists who all have different expertise. And we discussed how that's a great platform to choose the right people and to find out who wishes to come here and collaborate in care, in training, and in research, and in reciprocally, how to engage HIC and have them visit us. One of the obvious conclusions we came to was that we need to establish a video link. What we can do to have shared care for complex cardiac problems is work together using technology via the internet to review the case, review the images around the case, and help make decisions. That's an obvious first step, and I think it's never been easier to do that. We actually do it with regional hospitals close to Philadelphia, so there's no reason why we couldn't do it here. It's just a matter of setting it up. So that will be the first step, I'd say.
So how important would you say is the kind of exchange like that for not just necessarily cardiology but medicine in general?
Exchange is essential. I think that if you remain in a silo, if you remain just seeing what you see and treating conditions the way people around you treat them, your scope is limited. And I've been at different centers at different parts of my career. One of the first things you learn is when you go to that new place is what's universally true and what's just sort of local practice that other people have strong feelings about. That becomes very apparent. So that's a benefit to all involved in the exchange. I think it's essential.
So from today's event, what was their biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is that it all boils down to relationships and true desire to collaborate and exchange. And I think Dr. Ernest Madu has done an amazing job at building relationships, and that will be the key. That will be the key. So that's my take home.
What's one of the most important conversations you think that needs to be had with regards to Caribbean heart health?
I think one of the most important things is knowledge and trust. So I was talking to Dr. Madu, and he actually on the way up showed me an electrocardiogram on his phone from someone who is having a heart attack. People need to understand that a heart attack is an emergency, and no questions asked. You need to get to a center like HIC that can open your artery, and if you don't, you might not make it. So I think there's a lot of education that people need to understand. They also need to understand that you have to collaborate. So I've noticed that there are different cardiovascular and medical programs in the country. And I'm a friend of mine, Dr. Michael Boyne, is at the University of West Indies. And I think there's lots of expertise that can be brought together here for the benefit of people. So getting out of the silos, collaborating is probably one of the most important things.
So tell us about the topic that you spoke on today.
Today I talked about sleep and cardiovascular disease. And I like to think of it as the sleeper in heart disease because many people know of all the traditional risk factors for heart disease: high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, being active. But not many people are aware how important it is to have enough sleep. And also, that's number one. And secondly, that there are some sleep disorders, such as sleep breathing disorders, obstructive sleep apnea, that can, if not treated, can cause other cardiovascular diseases.
As it relates to heart treatment generally, and I'm sure you've probably looked at the Caribbean as a whole and some of the issues that may impact Caribbean citizens or black people generally, what are some of the recommendations you may have for the average citizen to take care of their cardiovascular health?
Okay. The first thing I always like to say is definitely know your numbers. You need to know what your blood pressure is. Basics. If you go to the doctor, don't just leave, oh, I had a visit today with a doctor. What was your blood pressure? What was your weight? If the doctor did blood tests, what are the results? What's my cholesterol? What's the good? What's the bad? Know all these numbers for yourself. Based on your weight, are you in line with what it should be? Are you overweight? So take control of your health by knowing all these numbers first. So after you know your numbers, if any of the numbers are out of line, if your blood pressure is too high, definitely seek treatment right away. And a lot of times in the Caribbean, and I hear this often, people say, well, my blood pressure is controlled, so I don't need to take the medication. No, it is controlled because you're taking the medication, so you need to continue taking the medication. And I have problems with relatives of mine. I say, well, are you taking this? They say, well, the prescription ran out. Well, although it ran out, it means you need to continue taking it. So little things like this, I think it's very important.
That concludes our coverage of the Masters of Cardiology event put on by the Heart Institute of the Caribbean in conjunction with the Association of Black Cardiologists. I'm Javon Keys for Business Access TV, serious about business.
Good Life, your trusted source for useful health and wellness information, lifestyle tips for the mind, body, and soul. Tune in Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Now presenting the Jamaica Social Investment Fund ICDP Enterprise Development Project. Entrepreneurial Grant Business Pitch.
This project is a $100 million grant that's seeking to target 50 small and micro business enterprises and give them training, capacity development, equipment, permits and license towards the development and the viability of their business. We have made a call for proposal in March of this year for entrepreneurs to submit for the opportunity to receive a grant between $1 and $5 million. We received more than 500 applications, and so we have now shortlisted them to 100. So we've invited that top 100 applicants here today, and they're going to have to pitch their business idea to a panel, and of the 150 will actually transpire and win the opportunity for the grants. One of the primary objectives of what we're doing here is employment. We want the business to be able to sustain not only the principals as the owners, but we also want the business to be able to employ at least 2 people. The next part of it, as we do in all of our projects like this, is it provides a learning instrument of how we can engage small and micro enterprises and take them to the next level.
Why we're doing this rigorous process, because we want to identify the best potential entrepreneurs for this project. And keep in mind that we are speaking about a loan, so we want to ensure that applicants are committed, and that from a sustainability point of view, that upon receiving the support from JSIP, that in 2 or 3 years, the enterprises will still be operational and the broader objective of the project would be achieved. Once we have now equipped them and they should be ready to start their production line going, we'll then have a mentorship component.
It has been a very competitive process. Jamaica is filled with persons with drive and passion. We're expecting that the best will be selected. And then for those who are not successful, we are also hoping to link them to other providers of services, because I'm telling you today, from what I've seen, it is an excellent opportunity. It's worthy of note that many persons coming here today already have some kind of semblance of a business, but they need the additional support to move that business to the other level, as well as some persons that come in with those proposals to start from scratch. On behalf of the JSIF, we want to really thank the DBJ and other partners from UWI who came to be part of the panel, and just to remind you that the JSIF is here and we're investing for community development.
I'm Don Webbick, Group CEO of Grace Kennedy. You are watching Business Access, serious about